Ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. How's everybody doing? I've just been having to play around with some cards. Nothing on TV tonight. So I've just been kind of pottering around. And I've been exploring this kind of thought around alternative RWS decks. And by alternative, I mean, and I'm going to use the tarot of A.E. Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, which is the facsimile of the 1910 edition, which is also known as the PAME, the second printing of the original Rider-Waite. And this is the one that appears in the Taschen set, which I got last year. It has the crackle backs. The first edition, the 1909, the year before, is the blue roses and lilies backs. And this is, you know, a pretty common, in the nicest possible sense, common tarot deck that certainly when somebody says to me tarot, these are the images that appear in my mind. And I know that's not going to be the same for everybody. Some people are more, you know, following the school of Marseille or Thoth. But for me, this is the tarot. This is kind of the iconic images that I know so well. I feel so intimately, know them intimately well because, you know, we've been to some places together, these cards and I, not necessarily this actual set, but certainly this artwork. And I love it, you know, and it's the world's most popular tarot deck for a reason. And I think that's probably because it's quite easy to read, having scenes for the pips that give you a springboard. They're not the be and end all by no means, but they give you a jumping off point, having that sort of visual prompt. That's certainly how I see it, you know. 6, you can bring in numerology, you know, after the disruption of 5, you're settling down and going into a new venture. And here, you know, it's very much around the mind, the intellect, etc., because it's sword. So that sort of new way of thinking, that new place that you can position your mind, etc., to overcome some troubles. You've got the troubled water here, the calmer water ahead. There's all sorts where you can go with it, etc. But I am also aware, through my love of the RWS and talking about this deck incessantly for the last 8 years that I've had a channel for, that it's not everybody's cup of tea. And predominantly when I query, well, why? Because, you know, this artwork is well over 100 years old. It's, again, like I said, I use the word iconic because it's iconic to me, and it's you see it in the media and you know, in films and TV programs and publications, etc. You buy a book on tarot, chances are it's going to have these images in it. But predominantly what people are fed back is that it's very often the coloration that's used, the kind of block yellows and blues, and not everybody, and particularly the one that gets mentioned a lot is the yellows in it, you know, yellow skies and that sort of thing. And I get it, you know, I understand that that's not going to be for everybody. I certainly don't mind it because I love the deck so much. But we are in a position now, and we're just entering into 2025, but we are in a position now where, from my understanding, I'm not a legal person, but my understanding is that the copyright is expired, and therefore there is a proliferation of RWS decks out there for our choosing. that either use Pixie's artwork and recolor it, or take inspiration from Pixie's artwork and will redraw it. So I'm thinking of a deck that I really, really love, which is the by Destiny, and the name has gone right out of my head. It's also RWS Retina Waite-Smith. Oh, I knew it would come to me eventually. The Retina Waite-Smith, again, so people abbreviate it and call it RWS. A bit like Radiant Wise Spirit, you know, also is RWS. So, and the Retina, which I love, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful redrawing by Singh Poonfat, part of Destiny, and the colours are scrumptious, and I just love it. But it's, you know, it's a very close copy of Pamela Coleman Smith. But I got to thinking, after I did the video the other day showing this deck, which has been with me ever since I got it, and only a week ago, it's been everywhere with me. I've just put it in order. I've put all these decks in order. And when I showed this, I think I said in it, and I certainly put that in the title of the video, could this be my new favourite RWS deck? And this, all of the three I'm going to show you use Pixie's artwork, but I've used some beautiful different colour variants. And then I started to think, is it? You know, and I've been using it all week. There's a couple, it's not perfect. There are a couple of cards that are really dark. It's beautiful, really beautiful, but it's also quite dark in some of the cards, and I'll show you when we get to them. None are really jumping out now, yeah, some difficult to make out features and things like that. And then I started thinking, well, actually, I used to love working with this deck, and I used to love working with that deck. And so I got out all of my RWS decks, and people ask me all the time, how many different variations have you got of the RWS? And I have 67 RWS decks. And by that, I mean Pixie's artwork, whether it's, you know, Tarot Vintage, or whether it's Neutral Vibes, or Radiant Wise, all of the different ones I've got that many. And then I started thinking, well, actually, what are my favourites? What are the ones that I really like to read with? And, you know, I've also got Conrad Stain's Roses and Lilies, Pam A, Pam B, Pam C, Pam D. Love them. And I've got other versions which are just straight up RWS. But what this video is, this is a long-winded way of me saying it, what this video is to show you, and when I say you, the people who don't really gel with, in particular, the coloration of the original, some alternatives whereby we still get to appreciate. Alexa, stop.
Simon,
Alexa,
here's
stop.
your reminder. Take medication.
Oh my gosh, it just doesn't listen to me.
Simon,
Alexa,
here's your reminder.
Stop.
Take medication.
I'll just do as you please. I've already taken my medication. I am fine. I set a reminder every night at 9 p.m. That's funny. But it just doesn't listen to me anymore. It doesn't stop when I ask it to stop. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to leave that in because I can't be bothered. I really can't be bothered to pause the video and come back to it and cut it out. So, where was I? Yeah, so these are my, out of my 67 different RWS variants that I have, these are my top three. The ones that I think are a great alternative if you want to appreciate the original line work, the original illustration that Pamela Coleman Smith did, because there's also a school of thought that she actually didn't choose the colours. Then there's another one that she wasn't happy with the choice of colours and she only did a black and white version. I've gone down so many rabbit holes around that, and there's no clear definitive answer whether that's right or not. There is a school of thought that that is the case. But, you know, if that is the case, then maybe one of these versions would have been more in keeping with what Pixie would have wanted. However, also, somebody who loves her artwork outside of the tarot, seen the sort of use of colours as well, and there perhaps weren't this sort of ombre and gradients, and so who knows. But these are my top 3 RWS alternatives that I just absolutely love. So what I'm going to do, you know already, this is Pixie Pop, which I've only just shown, but it's in there because I fell in love with it. Then we have, in this lovely box, my modified version of the Dirty Pam, which was by Lo Scarabeo, and it was released as the Pamela Coleman Smith Tarot. Now I do have an trimmed and edged, because I trimmed it and edged it, version. This is the original. This went out of print, and luckily as it was going out of print, I was able to get myself a couple of backup copies. One I gave away during a tarot-thon. This one I kept. I love this Two of Swords. And this is, I use this as well. As you can see, it's not in order. I also have 2 other backups that I was able to get through the publication of the Total Tarot magazines, because you could get this in its old format before it became Radiant Wise Smith, in the first 2 editions of that. So I bought a couple of them, so I got a couple of backups, because I love it so much. And then the third one as well is the RWS 2.0 by James Riffcliffe. Now this is battered and this is so well used because I use this a lot, and I edged this in multicolours at the time because of how vibrant this deck is. So I'm going to bring the camera down a little bit closer and we'll have a look at the 3 together. If you've ever purchased a reading from me, you'll know this deck anyway, because this is my go-to. I liked it trimmed because you could fit quite a lot. So when people were buying a year ahead spread, I could get all 13 cards down quite easily. And I loved it trimmed, and it's a nice compact size. This one came edged and in this size, and they're pretty similar. It's a little bit smaller, and this one taking off the borders because it had a dreadful copyright on every card. Like I say, I edged it in multicolours. Not keen on the backs on this one, I do have to say. But these 2 are more alike than this one. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a play around. Okay, so as you'll see, none of these use Pixie's calligraphy. So her font is quite distinctive, as you can see here. I really love it, it just adds, it just looks so, I mean, look at this, a little of there. It just looks like she just got a brush, and it's just gorgeous. I love the space in between the dot as well. It's like, I've got somebody who I work with who is quite old school and learned to type and would put a double space before full stops, etc. It's not always the case, because sometimes it was quite hard to get it on. But Pixie's calligraphy, I love. And sadly, that doesn't appear on any of these. And I think it's because, again, whilst the images have come out of copyright protection, they're in the public domain, I'm not sure that applies to the font. I could be wrong, but that's what I was told a couple of years ago. Whether that's changed now, I don't know. But you'll see this one, Pixie Pop, tries to replicate it somewhat, but these ones don't. And my least favourite font is this one. I don't know why, it just kind of reminds me of like italic. Yeah, this one is just a typeface really. So let's, and I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time on this, but I do want to give you an idea. So as I mentioned, Pixie Pop is the one I've had quite recently. Let me remove this incense. And instant love affair with it. I just thought it's brilliant. It's lovely to shuffle. It's got a gorgeous, very soft, very durable cardstock. It feels really, really nice. My only problem is some of the cards are quite dark. But here we've got this ombre sky, we've got this beautiful orange going into a yellow. The colours are vibrant. In the dirty pan, I'm just going to refer to this as the dirty pan, but remember that this is the original Radiant Wise Spirit, which was the Pamela Colman Smith Tarot. It's more in keeping with the original, but there is this sort of grain, and that's why it got its name Dirty Pan. It's got like this aged effect and this grainy kind of feel to it. The 2.0 is lovely, it's vibrant, really nice. I mean, look at the different colours of the stones, for example, where the fall is treading, whereas we've just got this kind of greeny grass colour here, but there's lots of different tones here. All are lovely, really are lovely. And again, I'm not here to say, you know, which one would be best, but, and I don't even know if they're all available, but you can pick these up on eBay and stuff like that as well. This is available as Radiant, Radiant Wise. This I bought, if you Google it online, Pixie Pop, you'll find sellers who are selling this. And this was on MPC. So again, our Magician, 3 different versions. And put that on that side. And it's funny, isn't it? Because these two I've worked with the longest, this is only the last week, but because I've used this one so much, I think you kind of lean to the one that you're more familiar with. Whereas if you're looking at this for the first time, you might have a clear sort of front runner that you think, oh yeah. And I do love the sharpness of the 2.0. But I also like the kind of grunginess of this. Now, this is where we see more of a difference. In terms of the James Riffcliffe deck, the 2.0, the sky trick changes. So again, this deck it talks on the back of the box about its use of colour and creating this ombre skies. But this one just feels more atmospheric. I really love it. This kind of looks like a setting sun, a sunset, or a sunrise perhaps. But beautiful in terms of the line work. And then we have our Emperor. So we get 3 different backgrounds here. We've got like a steel grey in the background here. This is more of a green colour. And then again, the 2-tone sky there with the Hierophant. I do find that it's easier to see what's happening down here with the cross keys. These are a little bit, again, quite dark. covers. Beautiful. This one, this deck as well, Pixie Pop, is making a point of including a bit more diversity, which obviously the RWS doesn't really have. And I'm not going to justify that either, because I have heard people say, well, back in 1909, and I don't buy that. You know, people of colour, people of different body sizes, abilities, ages, etc., were a part, very much a part of life in London in 1909. Different, you can see as well how the cards are kind of cut. The top of the chariot is right near the top here and on this one, and we are kind of like missing tiniest part of the buildings, etc. Here's our strength. So the Dirty Pam is more kind of in keeping with the traditional there. Love this colour background, but I love this colour background too. So three different, very different, it's particularly in terms of coloration here for our hermit. I do love this kind of midnight blue here coming to a lighter blue, but then I love the tone of this colour here, this beautiful, it's like a blending of like a slate grey and blue tones, and then here we've got like a purpley blue. All gorgeous. I'm going to show it against the original just so you can see that. So the original is here, which is more of a duck egg blue. So that just shows you the different options that are available when people say, I don't really like the RWS. Our Wheel of Fortune, all gorgeous, all really lovely. Then we have the Justice card. So we've got a brown background, a red background and a purple in terms of the cloth that's been hung up, the curtain. Oops. Look at this hang on here, look at that effect. Death cards are always interesting when people recolor them. It's really difficult. I kind of like the lighter background. I feel here we lose a bit of where kind of the helmet starts and finishes. This one is more clear in terms of the line work than this, but Temperance I think is beautiful in the Dirty Pam. I really love this. There's a lot of texture and detail in the wings with the feathers. I love the colour in the background. Really beautiful. They've done a nice job here as well, and they've coloured the flowers. Devil, they're pretty similar, aren't they? Our Tower card. the star card. 3 very different star cards. Ah, and they're all beautiful. I think this is probably one of my favourites in this particular deck because the card isn't dark. I love, again, we've got the ombre sky, but it's crisp, it's clear. This is beautiful as well. I love the different coloured stars in the Riftcliff deck. All wonderful. I think though, this one is my favourite. Again, with the moon, we get 3 different skies, different coloured animals. The crustacean here is quite hard to see, whereas it does stand out more in these cards. Interestingly as well, now then, let's see before I say that. So again, the original does have this little error here, which is in the community referred to as the oh shit squiggle, and it's not in either of these. Any of these. Either makes it sound like 2, doesn't it? Our judgment card. Beautiful backs. This one does use kind of a block yellow, but again it goes into a blue lower down. Oh, but I love this one. Interestingly, people said to me the other day in the comments, when I said could this be my favourite RWS ever, they were like, until you get to the next one. And that is me. But actually, what I'm doing here is looking back over decks that I've had for 7 years and 6 years. Yeah, 6 years now against a newer version. Okay, do I need to go through? What I'm going to do, because I'm not going to go through, this video will be very long and it was meant to be quite a short video really, is just look at a couple of my favourite cards to compare. I'm definitely going to show you the 2 of Swords because it's, I just love what they've done with the versions that I've got here. But I have to show you the 5 of Cups as well. Love this purple, and the figure here really stands out against this purple background. I love the dark somber tone that this card emits. However, I think that James Riftcliff did an amazing job with the 5 of Cups here. Just look at that sky. Absolutely beautiful. Hands down, one of my favourite 5 of Cups. Incredible. Let's also carry on and have a look at we'll look at the 3 of Wands, because this has a beautiful, there's a lot of sky in the 3 of Wands, so I think it'll be fun to have a look at that. All right, again, this is beautiful. I love the purple and the yellow together. Really lovely. We've got the rich sort of, now this is supposed to be water because you can see the boats in it. This has an orange, and it could be the setting sun that's reflecting against the water, but that looks more like a desert here, and it's really hard to make out that these are boats. Okay, you can make out that they are boats here, but again we've got this yellow but the Dirty Pam gives it this kind of sea green colour, and you can actually see the sails on the boats. And again, we've got this orange sky. It's more textured here, or more appearance of clouds. This is quite textured as well, but yeah, beautiful. Oops. We will then go on to the Two of Swords. Oh. This is fun to nerd out, isn't it? I haven't spoke about RWS for quite a while, so I mean, all gorgeous. However, this one, and I love this, you got these kind of circular, kind of like, as I imagine a sun setting, and it's just giving out these beautiful rays. Because we've got the moon up, so it's meant to replicate nighttime. This one, when I first saw the Pamela Colman Smith Tarot and I saw this card, it was my favourite. And that's why, when it came to having my box designed, I chose this card for the cover. The person also is a bit of a surprise. It was Bunny Kisses who created this for me. Put a hermit on the inside, just because, you know, the hermit's cave. But I just think this is so beautiful, and it's still one of my favourite cards. I do like, again, we do get a sense of a setting sun because it's lighter towards the shoreline and more darker, which we do get after a sunset, don't we? And then we will go to Nine of Pentacles. Beautiful card, all round beautiful card. Beautiful. Gorgeous pinks and yellows. This one is also lovely, and the 2.0 is also really, really nice. But I just love the background, the sky. This is a really busy card, and I like the fact that the 2.0 does clean it up quite a bit. You can actually see the hand patting on the dog, which is harder to see here. Just looks like the shape, the colours of the shawl or gown or whatever it is he's wearing, cloak. Oops, sorry, not the camera. And it's nice here again with the sky in the background. Not sure if there's any more to show you really, but so yeah, the idea of me coming on really was just pondering as to whether, having worked with it for a week now, don't know where the Fool's gone, underneath, having worked with it for a full week, whether it is my favourite version of the RWS, or had I overlooked or kind of left on the shelf for too long other RWS iterations. I keep losing my Fool. I don't know where that one's gone. It's at the bottom. No, it's got to be in here somewhere. Oh, I don't know where it is or where I put it. But anyway, it can't have gone far. But it's going to bug me, so I'm going to just show the magician while I finish off. Yeah, whether this was still my favourite RWS when I got it, because I think sometimes you can open a new deck and have such a reaction to it that you think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then as I was working with it, I was really enjoying working with it. But I was like, some of the cards are really dark, but it's still been with me everywhere for the last week. And then thinking about decks that I've loved in the past, and I just thought, well, actually, let's discuss it. Let's show them, and let's show some variations of the classic that's out there. If you look at it here with that quite flat yellow, and then the different tones here. So more modern take, shall we say, of Pixie's deck. Let's show them that there are alternatives out there. And you know, you might be watching this and thinking, well, actually, I've got this deck, and you know, that's good enough for me. I've also got one called the oh gosh, I knew I was going to do that. Is it in here? No, it's going to take me forever to find it. So I might leave it for another time. But I've also got one called the WS, I think it's called, for Waite-Smith Tarot, which came out a few years ago as well. But I can't find it now. But that's got some beautiful colours as well. But it's not one that I use often. I know it's in a little box, it's here. Let me just quickly grab this as an honourable mention. The only thing that I didn't like about this version, let's move the camera out a little bit. The only thing I didn't like about this version was the black borders on it. I could have trimmed it. But again, this is another one that was very similar to the Dirty Pam, but not as grungy. But as you can see, it's used some different sort of colorations, more atmospheric tones rather than just a blue background. There is some shading and gradient in colour. And it's a pretty decent deck. It's in linen cardstock. But it's not one that I reach for very often. If I was to be asked again, what's my favourite of these three, then I would probably say my favourite is the Dirty Pam. And I think that is purely based on the fact that this is the deck that I've used the most. And other than the deck that's in my beautiful box in here, which is my Blushing Fool, that's you know, my soul deck, but that's a straight up RWS, so that's not what we're talking about here. This one I've read for hundreds of people, as well as myself, and it's just one that I absolutely love. Is it perfect? No. What would make it perfect is for a deck to come out with these beautiful different colours, different shading, the ombre skies, but with Pixie's calligraphy. If the Dirty Pam was to ever be released again, not on that horrible glossy huge cardstock that the Radiant Wise Spirit is, but if they release this again and put Pixie's calligraphy on the cards, wow, chef's kiss. That would be the ultimate. So if there's any deck creators out there that's thinking of releasing an RWS, then Pixie's font, standard tarot size, doesn't even have to be borderless. You know, if you put borders on there, we can trim them off if we don't like them, or we can buy 2 copies like I've got for this. But lots of beautiful colours, different colour tones and variations, Pixie's font, then you'll get a sale from me and I'll promote the life out of it. All right, this was just a bit of fun. It's no, you know, I've done a lot of walkthroughs, I've done some vlogs, I'll be doing a vlog at the weekend. I just wanted to come on and geek out a bit about RWS. So thank you for indulging me if you've got this far. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your week. And until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.